Hi, folks. Today I want to talk about yet another topic in Ruby, and that is class variables. So, what are class variables? Class variables are the variables which are used by the classes, and these are denoted by double at the rate syntax. So, and these variables are accessible across instances as well as the subclasses. So that is about class variables, but now how do we use them? So this is one of the class that I have created. So here what we are trying to do is that whenever we are creating an instance, what we want to do is we want to count the number of instances that we have. So this we can achieve with the help of class variables. So here I have this class and I have defined this class variables named instances, and I have initialized it with 0. Now whenever we are initializing this class, what we are doing is that we are incrementing the class variables by 1. So you remember the class variables are the variables that are accessible by the uh, to the instances as well as to the subclasses. And here what I am doing is that I am storing the current value of the instance here. So what will happen when we create this instance for the first time, that this instances will go to 1 because we are incrementing here, and this, so that particular object, the first instance that we are creating, will have the value stored as 1. Now here this is just a method where we want to track that which number we are actually on, which is the instance that we are currently on, if we have like a large number of instances. And here we are just uh, using this method to show like how many instances are there. So this is again a class method, but even if we created a instance method, then also we would have access to these class variables. So here I have created this the objects for this entity class 5 times, and when I'm trying to access the fourth object, then what we are getting in the output is that this is 4 or 5, because in array it will start with the 0th index, and this is the third, this will be the fourth index, and that is why it is saying that is it is this is 4 of the 5 instance. Now again, we can also access like how many instances are there with this total. Even if say I want to change it to, say, for the first instance, right? And now if I run it, then it will tell me that this is the first of the 5 instances. Now what why do we generally say that we should not be using class variables? So the reason why we say that is because, say we created a subclass, and in that subclass, say I created a new subclass, new entity, and it is inheriting from the entity. And now I again initialized the class variable with this value. But now what will happen is that it will override the class variable that was defined in the parent class. So basically, and the reason why we are able to do that, because as I already shared with you, that these class variables will be shared are shareable across the instances as well as the subclasses. So here, since I changed it to 1, now if I run this again, right, it has changed. It is not respecting how many instances are there, it has just overridden it with the current value. So that is almost all about the class variables. And now, so what do we do when we are in a situation where we don't want the subclasses to override these class variables? So there is again a concept of class instance variable, and that we will be covering next. So now coming to the class instance variable. So class instance variables are, you can say, like class variables, but these are denoted by a single at the beginning of the variable. So here we just have a single at the rate, and we are defining the class instance variable like this. So, however, there is a difference between how this is shared. So these class instance variables are accessible only to the class methods. So if we want to access it in the instance method, then we will need to access it using we will need to basically create accesses for this. So here what I have done is that I have opened this and this class, and I have added so this instances is available for us to basically make changes. This class instance is variable is available in the instance method, so that we can add or subtract or do things to this class instance variable. So here, while initializing, if you remember, when we were creating when we were incrementing the class variables, what we used to do was we used to do something like this. But here, since this is a class instance variable, so the only way we can access this is by referring to the class and then accessing the instance variable. So here, so self here is the object and the class will be entity, and this instances is basically the accessor that we have created. So this class instance variable can be accessed. So since this is a instance method, so here we are incrementing it by one, and again we are doing a similar thing. Earlier what we were doing was we were basically assigning this to, but here we will again use this accessor for getting the value and assigning it to the instance. Here also, since this current method again will be an instance method, so here we can get the value of this instance variable, but to get the value of class instance variable we again have to go that route. And finally, as I said to you, that these class instance variables are available in the class method. So since here this total is a class method, so we can actually access the this directly. Otherwise we will have to go this route of accessing the values in the instance methods. So that is about class instance variables, and now we are going to run this. So here we have again we are again creating this five times. So this entity class object five times. So if I again try to access this, then what will happen is that again it is giving us the same result that we were getting when we use the class variables, and the total again remains 5. But if now we try to open a new subclass and we try to say assign create a new class instance variable and assign some value to it. Since here also it was instances and here also it was instances, but it will not change the value of the class instance variable of the parent class. So here we are safe that we will not be changing the value of a class instance variable by mistake, right? So that is basically the difference between class variable and class instance variable. That for a class variable, it is accessible and shareable across the instance method as well as the subclass methods. But a class instance variable is not accessible to the subclass as well as the instance methods directly. So that is what I wanted to show you in this video. Thanks for watching. Thank you.